Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with, by popular demand, 16 box sets we still desperately need. Well, some of you, at your urging, this was really a wonderful collaborative effort, I have to say. I did a video a while ago, a couple of years ago, called 10 box sets we desperately need, and lo and behold, most of them actually showed up. It was kind of amazing. I take no credit for any of that. It has nothing to do with me. Nobody cares what I say. Let's just be clear about that. But some of them were just so obvious that the labels actually had to do them, and out they came. Some of them have not shown up, but you've asked me for an update. And so here it is. I'll see the state of boxed setitude in the classical music universe. Now we have 16 box sets that we still desperately need. I mean, we desperately needed them back then, but we need them even more now. Now, for the ones that did not show up, some of them appear here, some of them don't. That doesn't mean we no longer need them. This is additive. But there are some I wanted to bring up again just to sort of, reinforce our desperation. So here we go. You ready? The list is down below. You can see it yourself, but a lot of you suggested these, and oh, how right you were, and how needy we still are. Oh my God. And time is running out. Let's not forget, they keep telling us physical media will soon disappear. So we need to get those CD stampers stamping as soon as we can do it. Number 1, Leonard Slatkin, the complete RCA recordings. Well, this was on the original list. And, my father used to say to me, when he was dissatisfied with the quality of my work, don't ever do a half-assed job. Or if I'd done it and it wasn't up to snuff, like raking leaves, that was usually the one that wasn't up to snuff. Cutting the lawn, doing outside yard work and whatnot, or shoveling snow. Oh, that was a big deal. I mean, that was a huge deal. One of the biggest fights we ever had, my brother and I, with my dad, was because we got a snowstorm and he told us we had to shovel the snow because we had a school day. We had a snow day. We weren't going to school in the backyard, and he would always come home at lunchtime to see if the work had been done. In the morning, we tended to want to relax in the morning and do it in the afternoon, but it had to be done before lunch. And he said, no, it was wrong. We went and shoveled a path. He said it wasn't wide enough. It had to be wide enough so that two could walk abreast. And we just thought that was the funniest thing we ever heard in our lives, because we were like little kids. Two walking abreast? So we went out and we did it again, and then my brother and I linked arms and we walked up and down the path abreast while he had lunch and was, sitting there snuffling. Anyway, he said, this is a half-assed job. Well, RCA and Slatkin, they did a half-assed job. What did they do? They released some sort of downloadable digi-bit version of the Slatkin RCA recordings. I never saw it. I never downloaded it. It's ridiculous. They have to do the whole thing correctly, like they do the Metropolis box or the Reiner box or the whatever, the Munch box. Do a freaking box. The man is like 80. He's one of the great conductors alive. He writes very fluently. Ask him to do the notes. He would do it. He would do it. I mean, for heaven's sake, just do the damn thing and stop making an issue of it. I mean, they don't do anything right, these people. They released the American recordings, the American classics, Slatkin box, which lasted in the catalog for, 13 seconds, maybe, if you were counting slowly. And they left out the Barber disc. I mean, they didn't even include all of it. And there is so much that he did that's wonderful that we can't otherwise find now. It's Russian music besides Tchaikovsky, Shostakovich, Prokofiev, the Barber disc, his Brahms Serenade. I mean, there's just lots and lots of really good stuff that all deserves to emerge. So there we go. It's still on the list. Next, Zubin Mehta's complete not Los Angeles recordings on Decca. There are some wonderful things. Now, let's be clear. There was the Zubin Mehta Los Angeles Philharmonic box, and then there was a Zubin Mehta Symphonies random assortment box. Definitely a cocaine elephant of a release. By the way, cocaine elephant, cocaine hippopotamus. We're gonna have some other cocaine animals, or maybe the fentanyl ferrets. I don't know. Anyway, no, it's a cocaine hippo of a box. It was just sort of a bunch of symphonies from various places that didn't last long either. And then they did the Los Angeles box, which is marvelous. But the Decca also has the Vienna Phil stuff, which has, oh my goodness, it's got that Bruckner Ninth, and it's got that great Schmidt Fourth, and it's got the Mahler Two, and the Israel Phil stuff has got a great Mahler One, and there's like a Schubert cycle out there, and there's plenty of other stuff that they can and should release. They may not want to do the operas. They should do the Turandot at least. I mean, they could throw it in there. What the hell? Just, again, put it all in the box and release it. But they have to finish Zubin Mehta. They just do. He deserves it. He's also at the end of his career. It would be a lovely thing to do while he's still with us. They always wait until they're dead, you know? I mean, it's creepy. Then, Leontyne Price, complete operas and recitals. Now, this would be on RCA and Decca. Actually, there's some EMI stuff, too, isn't there? I mean, it'd be nice if they could license everything, but I really think RCA owes it to her. There have been Leontyne Price boxes. There have been a box of the recitals. Then there was a cheapy box of opera performances. They need to give the woman the credit she deserves for being one of the greatest sopranos, maybe the greatest Verdi soprano of the second half of the 20th century, along with like Martina Arroyo. They should do a Martina Arroyo box. Never mind. But they've really, really got to do something nice for Leontyne Price. I just sit here waiting for something to happen, some recognition. It's funny about opera singers, isn't it? You know, I mean, when they retire, it's probably because it's such a publicity-forward medium. And so the labels are always pushing the next great singer, and they sort of ignore the previous great singers, much more, I think, than in other areas of classical music. But I think RCA also deserves to give Leontyne Price a beautiful, wonderful, lovingly illustrated, incredibly expensive, money-losing edition. If that's what it's going to be, I don't care. Let them lose the money. But I don't think they will, because the complete opera sets, some of them are just fabulous. There's a Zubin Mehta recorded one in there, isn't there? Il Trovatore, at least. Actually, I think Zubin Mehta also did a Tosca. Anyway, yes, it should all come out. After Leontyne Price, Arnold Bax, the complete orchestral works on Chandos. I don't know if it's his complete orchestral works. I'm not sure. But all the people on planet Baxia are voting for this. I mean, I was there. They're lobbying like crazy. Chandos doesn't do many boxes. They really don't. They haven't gotten in for the box set thing. I don't blame them. They can make money otherwise, but they should make things available. And they did do this wonderful series. I mean, they've got 2 Bax symphony cycles. They could put both of them in there. We could compare them. What the hell? I mean, it should be a Baxanal, you know? It really should be, because he's a wonderful composer, and he wrote tons of glamorous, luscious orchestral works, and they've got, I don't know, I mean, how many discs is it now? 15, 20? God only knows. If they put it all together in a box, it would just be fabulous. And it's hard to find a lot of that stuff. It really is. It comes and it goes, and it drives us crazy. Sometimes they issue it on mid-price. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes it's all disorganized. Somebody needs actually to get the entire Chandos catalog and give it a good shake and organize it in a way, you know, that sets it up for the rest of eternity with beautiful editions of some of the things they've done are just so wonderful, but they're fragmented. And so we need to defragment Bax. And all you Baxians, write to your Chandos representative on Baxia and tell them that this is what you want. It's essential. So after that, let's see. John Eliot Gardiner's complete Phillips recordings, which of course are now on Decca, because Phillips is now Decca. These are some of his very, very best performances. In particular, we have, for example, the Gluck operas and things like that. And you know what really makes it bizarre is that they did a huge archive box. It was this big, long thing. And also an errato box. So all the rest of it's out there. What are they waiting for? I mean, seriously, I mean, what is Decca doing? They should have done the Phillips / Decca stuff first, frankly, because it has a lot of his really, really finest work. I mean, also, in addition to Gluck, think the Verdi Requiem, the Berlioz Messe Solennelle, really cool ventures into, the later 19th century. Yes, he's somewhat cold and efficient and standoffish and all of those things, but he did do fine work, and we deserve to have it available. So I really want to see that show up as well. Then, well, of course, the complete Hyperion Romantic Concerto, Piano Concerto edition. Oh, is that fun? I mean, it's up to 80 or 90 volumes. I don't know if it's continuing because Hyperion was sold and I don't know what they've got left. But if it's done, it's time to box it up because some of it's, again, not easy to get, not easy to find. And there are so many wonderful recordings in there. You can't even begin to list them all. It's impossible. It's just a treasure trove of fabulous keyboard music that so many people would just be thrilled to discover. Hyperion also has been kind of iffy when it comes to boxes. They did the complete Schubert songs, didn't last long. They did the complete list, didn't last long. They even had a box of the complete Brahms chamber music. Remember that with the Nash Ensemble, I believe? It vanished instantly. And so I don't know whoever is controlling them if they're interested in doing something like that. But boy, it would be awfully nice. If they did, it would be just lovely. Could be Hyperion's swan song. Who knows? Next, well, this was on the original list, and it's still here because it's never going to happen unless something crazy goes on. The complete Paris Conservatory Orchestra, Warner EMI recordings. Decca should do it too because they have a ton of that stuff as well. But, rather than focusing on conductors or soloists or whatever, just do the orchestra. It was one of the most interesting, unique, iconic, and distinctive ensembles that the world has ever known, and it's gone. So now we have this amazing legacy that needs to be released. You'd have Schurich's Beethoven, you'd have all the Cluitin stuff, you have, and I mean, Andre van der Noot, who I talked about in the last video. There are lots of conductors you don't know very well. Pierre Dervaux, who recorded with that orchestra, and they were very, very fine conductors. And, rather than do boxes of their stuff, do the orchestra and give it all to us. And then we have a much more comprehensive and enjoyable way of getting a massive chunk of our classical music recorded legacy. I just think that that's an incredibly important project. And who knows, you might sell a couple. I'd promote it. I would. I really would. Even though I own all that stuff elsewhere somehow, that would really, really be nifty if Warner could bring themselves to do it. I don't know who's running Warner or what they're doing. Who knows? But it's something out there. After that, Charles Mackerras. Yes, they should do all of his stuff for Universal labels because he was all over the place. There's archive stuff, there's Handel, and then there's all that, the English music he did for Argo, Delius, and things like that. And then there's the Czech stuff he did, Joseph Suk, and what for Decca, and the operas, and all that, the Janacek, and it's everywhere. So there needs to be a Universal Mackerras box. Probably they would do it in smaller bits. I don't know, but they should. That's number one. And number two, Warner EMI should do a Mackerras set as well because they have tons of stuff too. Of course, so does Telarc, so does, all these other labels. But someone should get a handle on the guy and start releasing things. I mean, we've talked about that before, of course. I don't think anybody disagrees with that proposal. And we'll see what comes. I mean, some people at some of the labels, I hear dim murmurings that maybe the name is out there. Now that he's dead and can't do anything about it. Okay. Another edition that I've been waiting for years and years and years. Dacapo. Hello, Denmark people. People in Denmark. The complete Nielsen edition. You need to do the complete Nielsen edition. Finally. I mean, I've spoken to them. They say they're working on it. They say they have the stuff. I'm sure they have the stuff. Maybe there's some things that they haven't been recorded yet, and they're still waiting to get them. I don't know. Do it. Just do it. Do it in like the Sibelius cycle. Do it. They started with a couple volumes. Remember? They released some chamber music. They released some orchestral music, and then it just fizzled. It disappeared. I mean, this is Denmark. This is your national patrimony, Danish people. I mean, you live in a wonderful socialist country that taxes the living crap out of everybody. Take some of that tax money and do a Nielsen edition. I mean, you can afford it. That's what Scandinavian governments do. They spend money on culture. So spend it, damn it, and give us our Nielsen edition. It's time, high time, frankly, that we've had that. So the Nielsen edition, absolutely essential. Definitely, I mean, can't live without it, sort of thing. Next, Decca's Entartete Musik. We've talked about this too. Wouldn't that be nice? The problem is it's lots of operas. It's lots of vocal music. It's lots of royalties. It's expensive. It was texts. It was translations. I've gotten to the point, quite frankly, where I don't care. I just want to see that collected. It was a wonderful, wonderful edition, a fascinating edition, maybe the last great library musicological project that a major label undertook. And of course, 90% of it is unavailable. And God, there was some great stuff there. Amazing stuff. Korngold, Schrecker, and people you haven't heard of, and all the Czech people, and Gideon Klein, and Pavel Haas, and chamber music, and orchestral music, and very well performed for the most part. Erwin Schulhoff. Oh, yes, Schulhoff is amazing. This stuff, what was the point in doing it? Seriously. Everybody recognized its importance. Everybody recognized its excellence. Of course they couldn't sell it. Of course not. They have no clue how to sell anything. But they have it. They spent the money. It's there. And so we need to hear it. It needs to be available forever. It's important. It matters. Next, James Levine, complete RCA recordings, with or without the operas. Probably it would be without the operas because that's a whole big chunk of stuff. It should be with, or they should do 2 boxes, orchestral works and operas. But that's a great legacy of stuff. And his RCA recordings, some of them are so fabulous. I mean, and never got really the attention that they deserved. But I was listening to his Brahms cycle with Chicago. Whoa, my God, it's amazing. Move over, Georg Schulte. Holy crap, it's incredible. And he did Schumann in Philadelphia. Then there's the almost complete Mahler cycle. And there's some amazing Stravinsky, Les Noces and Petrushka that you could only get as a print-on-demand thing or from Japan or somewhere. I mean, really, when he was young and at the top of his game, razor-sharp, exciting, thrilling performances. And boy, would that make a cool box, nicely remastered, because they weren't bad sounding to begin with for the most part. That would be just wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. I know some people are still pointing their finger and going, oh, he was disgusting. He did sexual, naughty things when he was, in Conservatory or whatever he was doing a zillion years ago. Yes, he did. And I've said it before, and I will say it again. That's the industry. The only difference between those who do and those who don't is that some get caught and some don't, frankly, for the most part. And if you're going to make that your litmus test, you have every right to do so. You don't have to have anything to do with him, but you're also going to be missing out on the vast majority of the best recordings that are out there. These people don't have to be saints. They just have to be fabulous musicians, as Wagner proved once and for all time, right? Anyway, so we need the James Levine stuff. We need it on RCA. Deutsche Grammophon, I think, is less interesting. There are some great things there. There's another Brahms cycle. There's some other stuff, but a lot of it's duplicative, and a lot of it is, I think, outclassed by his earlier recordings. Although he didn't really lose it until the very end. So, I mean, and there have been some Deutsche Grammophon boxes and things, but I haven't found them as interesting. But RCA would be refreshing because that stuff hasn't been available for quite some time. Next, Warner. Hello, Warner. Do Richard Goode complete Nonesuch recordings. That would be wonderful. I mean, he's such a fine pianist, and he did beautiful, beautiful work. There are Mozart sonatas, Mozart concertos, the complete Beethoven sonatas and concertos. There's Schumann, there's Schubert, beautiful Schubert recordings. He was a wonderful exponent of the sort of German piano repertoire. that stuff. I mean, he didn't do like, Rachmaninoff and all of those people. But what a wonderful artist, a musician's musician. He really was, and really is, actually. I guess he's still with us, and he deserves a box. He really, really deserves a box. Of all the pianists sort of floating around out there, because his legacy has been treated so badly. I mean, the Beethoven stuff, no, that's been around. But a lot of his other singleton issues and work with other composers, it's very, very hard to source that stuff. I mean, he made some recital discs with singers and other people and all that. Just get it in a box and get it out here. And speaking of soloists, oh my God, Nathan Milstein. What is Warner doing with Nathan Milstein? Those bastards. How could they possibly treat this guy so poorly? There was like an icon box, and before that there was a really scruffy, unmastered, 8 discs of miscellaneous violin things. He was one of the great violinists of all time, period. Everybody agrees. He made stunning recordings of the basic violin literature and some other things besides. He only did a few discs for Deutsche Grammophon after he jumped ship from Capitol. Boy, he sure waited a long time to do that. Should have left a zillion years ago and redone everything. That would have screwed him. But they have it all sitting there. Some of it is in like the Steinberg box, because he did recordings with William Steinberg. They are wonderful recordings, beautiful recordings of Beethoven and Brahms and Mendelssohn and Tchaikovsky and chamber music and the Bach sonatas and partitas, which he sort of owned. I mean, at one point, he needs a really, like they did with the David Oistrakh edition recently. Do Nathan Milstein. Please do Nathan Milstein. Oh, we're getting to the end here. Only 3 more to go. Christoph von Dohnanyi. Okay, we got the Cleveland box. Finally, we got the Cleveland box. I'm so happy for that. So, what are you waiting for? You got to do the Vienna box and all of his other Universal recordings. You may recall he did a few recordings on Phillips. He did some concerto accompaniments with like Claudio Arrau, and there were some other things when he was young that popped up at various spots on Universal. But mostly what he did was with the Vienna Philharmonic, and some of that stuff is amazing. We've got Bartók and Stravinsky in Vienna, of all places, and he gets them playing like demons. It's just stunning, absolutely stunning. And there's the Brahms-Schoenberg quartet, and there's Berg operas and Richard Strauss tone poems, and oh goodness, the Mendelssohn cycle, which is like the reference edition for Mendelssohn symphonies, and the Erste Walpurgisnacht. He's just a really, really fine conductor, and that's a wonderful legacy. It really is. I mean, it would be terrific to see the Vienna box. And it's got Vienna all over it. They love doing things with Vienna all over it. Maybe Vienna sells. Maybe it sells in Vienna. I don't know. Just do it, Decca. Let's go. Earn your keep. Don't be a bunch of cocaine hippos sitting on your ass doing random stupid things. Do meaningful things. Then we've got the Vladimir Ashkenazy, the Conductor, because they keep doing Ashkenazy boxes. We have his chamber recordings. We have his concerto recordings. We have all of his solo recordings. We have the Vladimir Ashkenazy piano pick box, where he got to select his favorite recordings, all 400 of them or whatever it is. Well, he did a tremendous amount of work as a conductor. He wasn't as great a conductor as he was a pianist, but once he learned how, like so many of these guys, he had things to say. His Cleveland recordings, a lot of those are marvelous. You've got Prokofiev, you have Richard Strauss, and some of those were fun. He did some very good Sibelius, he did some very not so good Sibelius, but there is a Sibelius cycle out there, and it would make a nice box. Scriabin. He did a bunch of things with the the Deutsches Radio Symphony Orchestra Berlin, whatever that thing was called. And some of those were really fine recordings also. There's his Stravinsky stuff. He deserves to have a box. They can complete Shostakovich symphonies with the Royal Phil, which is a very underrated cycle. I mean, there's some very, very good stuff in there. He needs to have a conductor dedicated box. I'm assuming that that's coming some century. I mean, they did all the others. So what are they waiting for? Anyway, last but not least, oh boy, still from the other list, still unrealized to this very day. There is a giant black hole, a void in our classical music souls because we don't have the Arthur Fiedler and Boston Pops complete RCA box. Probably be like 500 discs. Who cares? And Deutsche Grammophon could do one too, because they have another 500 discs, which they have done nothing with. They're just sitting there doing nothing, sitting on their asses, making us annoyed. That stuff absolutely has to come out. It just does. I've asked. They all go, I don't know why they're going, I mean, this stuff was incredibly popular. It sold really, really well. The people who've heard about it and know how great it is, well, we're all near death. If you're going to make your money off of this stuff, get it out while the people who survive can enjoy it. The people who remember. Or, you can do the unthinkable, which is like create a new market for something. Who am I kidding? So there you have it, my friends. 16 box sets that we really still desperately need. Let's write your congressman. Oh, no, not now. I guess that wouldn't make any difference, would it? Well, do something. Write your label. Do something to make sure this stuff shows up. All right, please? For me, for us, for the world at large, for great culture, for entertainment, whatever your rationale. We need to put pressure on these people. They can be moved. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks so much for joining me. Take care.